Welcome to Facts TV News, where everything is true. Hannah calls for government to address $30 million allocated to St. Anne Road not yet fixed. Member of Parliament for South East St. Anne, Lisa Hannah, is calling on the government for an urgent update on when work on the Claremont to Higgintown Main Road will commence. In a statement on Monday, the MP said taxi operators and other residents blocked the road to express their frustration at the government and the National Works Agency NWA for failing to act on their promise to fix the road in June 2021. This road has been the subject of what can only be deemed as political victimization and sabotage to the residents of my constituency. I had made representation on this matter from as early as October 30, 2020, when I wrote to the CEO of the National Works Agency, Mr. E.G. Hunter, advising of the deplorable road condition and the need for it to have urgent attention, Hannah shared. She said that having not received any formal response from the agency on February 9, 2021, the taxi drivers and others who used the road blocked the road, citing the hazard it was creating for them and their passengers. This time, I followed up with Minister Everard Warmington, seeking information on the status of my request. On June 29, 2021, I received formal communication from the St. Anne NWA parish manager that $30 million was finally allocated to fix sections of the road. On October 7, 2021, I met again with taxi operators and other residents to update them as, up to that point, no roadwork has commenced by the NWA. I advised them that the Minister Warmington said that the contract for the road was out for a public tender, which would take some time, the MP explained. Noting that 6 months have now elapsed, Hannah is calling for an update. I am calling on the government to publicly address this matter as we have been kept in the dark and we are seeing other roads being fixed in adjoining constituencies. She added, the people are tired of the ministry's procrastination and need an urgent update on when the work will commence, the MP said. Students return for face-to-face classes as new school term kicks off. Hundreds of students turn up at public primary and secondary schools across the island on Monday morning for the start of the new term and the resumption of face-to-face classes. In-person learning resumed at primary and secondary schools despite a spike in the number of COVID-19 cases in the country. The Ministry of Education last week in a bulletin signed by Chief Education Officer Dr. Kesson Thorpe informed all regional directors, school boards and principals of all public and primary educational institutions that the academic year will commence for formal classes on Monday, January 3rd. The bulletin noted that on that date, face-to-face instructions would be offered in all pre-primary, primary, and secondary institutions for all students under certain conditions. These include a satisfactory health inspection and a COVID-19 compliant approval report from the Health Ministry. 5 injured in Clarendon crash. 3 people were rushed to hospital and several others are nursing minor injuries following a traffic mishap along the Haynes Main Road in Clarendon on Sunday morning. The incident, which happened about 10:15 a.m., involved a Toyota Hiace minibus and a Honda Fit motorcar. According to eyewitness Shay Brown, the bus, which was heading towards Maypen from Lioneltown, indicated for a right turn when the Honda Fit, which was heading in the same direction, slammed into it. The bus put on the indicator to go over to the church and the vehicle is coming from nowhere and licked the bus, and the bus licked the light post and it burst up in the van and the vehicle turned over, she recounted. The bus driver suffered wounds to his mouth, she said. His clothes tear up and blood up. In the Honda, a girl start bawl out, "Whoa, me baby in it, me baby, me family in the car. Me have somebody sick in the car, so it look like a somebody dem a carry go hospital when them licking at the bus. So somebody assist her and take her and the baby and give somebody to hold, and she came out through the window," said Brown. She noted that another woman was also pinned inside the Honda. Them did want to take out the lady, but the police say don't take her out because you don't know how to hold her, and if you don't hold the lady bad, she can dead. Same time the lady start bawl, me want water. But people on the scene say don't give her no water because sometime when you give them water they die, explained the eyewitness. Firefighters later arrived and the woman was cut from the vehicle, then transported to the Lioneltown Hospital. Shortly after that, me see the ambulance come up and then another one. It was a serious accident. Nobody not dead so far, but about 3 persons rushed to hospital first, then the girl with the baby. Then people advised the driver of the Honda to go to hospital and them go with him, she said. The status of those hospitalized is still not known as the police are still investigating. Sunday morning's accident occurred mere meters away from where 2 motorcyclists died in a collision 3 days before. JMDA president reflects on most challenging year for her membership. President of the Jamaica Medical Doctors Association, Dr. Mindy Fitzhenley, has described this concluding year as one of the most challenging for her membership. However, the doctor says the health fraternity was able to weather the storm and pull through as a group.
2021 in Jamaica was a very trying year. It was very difficult for all members of the healthcare team, not just the doctors, but all of us. We work together as a team. And so when something affects one group of persons, whether it's the nurses, whether it's the technicians, it affects us as well. You know, we don't work in unison, and our strength is really relying on everyone together. What I can say in terms of a positive note, I found that 2021 was a year where we were really able to come together as a group. And I think that is where we're lacking. We don't have enough access to medical doctors or to your nurse practitioners or to your nurses who can actually answer the questions for them without having to make an appointment at another doctor. People don't have time for that. The other thing is to continue to increase our access to vaccinations after 4 p.m. A lot of people are working till 6 p.m. And so you can't take off a whole day just to come out and get vaccinated. So we definitely need to increase that access after 4 p.m. They have reported that the surge plan has been activated at each location so that we can have access to things that are necessary. But guess what? What is finite is the number of doctors and the number of nurses that we have, and the respiratory therapists and the specialists, especially the critical care nurses. That is a very finite number. So when more and more doctors get ill, because although the majority of staff are vaccinated, we're at a much higher exposure rate. So because these doctors are the ones performing CPR in the patients, they're the ones that are running into these rooms when they're trying to put on their mask at the same time. They're trying to save lives. They're exposed to patients for hours upon hours upon hours.
Jamaica reports 769 new COVID-19 cases, 1 death. Jamaica on Monday reported 769 new cases of COVID-19 and 1 virus-related death. This brings the total number of cases recorded on the island since the start of the pandemic to 95,946 and the death toll to 2,477. Of the newly reported cases, there were 439 females and 330 males, with ages ranging from 17 days to 96 years. The cases were recorded in Kingston and St. Andrew 230, St. James 140, Manchester 84, St. Anne 82, St. Catherine 76, Westmoreland 23, Clarendon 23, St. Thomas 22, St. Elizabeth 20, St. Mary 19, Hanover 19, Trelawney 16, and Portland 15. Meanwhile, the latest victim is a 91-year-old male from St. Anne. Another death was reported under investigation. The country also recorded 124 new recoveries, bringing the total number of recoveries to 65,937. The country's positivity rate now stands at 48.4%. There are confirmed 3,168 active cases on the island. Haiti's Prime Minister survives assassination attempt. Haiti's Prime Minister Ariel Henry survived an assassination attempt on Sunday, a day after the country marked its 218th anniversary of political independence. The failed attempt comes less than 6 months after the country's former president, Jovenel Moïse, was murdered. According to several media reports, at least 1 person is dead and several others injured in the city when armed persons opened fire at the Prime Minister. A wide-scale investigation has been launched. Prime Minister Henry and his entourage had insisted on attending a church service in the city to commemorate the country's independence. Heavily armed gangs that controlled that area fired in the direction of the official delegation as his security personnel returned fire. The mass was held despite reported threats from the armed group, which warned Henry not to come to the city. Following the attempt, the authorities have cancelled all other events dedicated to the anniversary of the independence. Henry was installed on July 20 last year as Prime Minister weeks after President Moaz was assassinated at his home on July 7. Please remember to subscribe, like, share, and click the notification bell for daily updates.